Dave, welcome to SAINTCON Hallway.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an amazing experience. Love it here. This is great. First time at SAINTCON, and you all have a gem here. You have a gem here.
Yeah, we love it a lot, obviously, but we're a little biased. What's your impressions? You did a very quick tour, down on the floor, up in third, and obviously your keynote.
First and foremost, I can't believe this has been running for, 15 years?
Yeah, a long time.
That's crazy. The fact that I haven't made it out here is a shame because, the people, the community, the amount of villages that you have here, just the variety is something that I really haven't seen other than something like DEF CON, but it doesn't have a DEF CON feel. You know, it's smaller, 2,000 people.
Right, not 30,000.
Not 30,000. And, just an amazing amount of people doing amazing things, all super friendly. To be perfectly honest with you, I think SAINTCON has really moved up to one of my favorite conferences of all time. So I love it here.
I will pay you later for that, but that's what we want to hear. That means we're doing a good job. No, it's a lot of volunteers spending a ton of time doing the things they love, putting their passion into it, and making something cool for the community.
You know, it was cool what Troy said at the beginning. It's like, thank everybody here because they're all volunteers, right? And I think that's what really drove me to this industry is the community aspects, the people just wanting to help other people. You don't get any fame for coming in and volunteering here, right? You get to see, but you get rewards from contributing to people's development in their careers, people coming into cybersecurity, learning new talents and traits, and making the industry better. Like, what better of a community can you have than doing that? And what you folks do here is absolutely amazing. And just seeing Troy up there talk about the different things that you're doing, all the different groups that are here, different people. I mean, it's just amazing to be able to meet new people, new folks, folks that I've known for a long time, getting to hang out, and then having a little bit of stomach issues from the food that I ate yesterday. But
hot pot,
yeah, it was
hot
good.
Hot pot's amazing, and in like a month, you'll be like, man, I want some more hot pot.
The hot pot was good.
So. We heard your story at the keynote. Definitely worth checking out. We'll have a recording for people to watch that. What was your initial getting in? I know you talked about a little computer, but what was that first burr moment in your head where you're like, I'm doing computers?
For me, I came from a lower income class family that moved around a lot. And I never really found a home at school. I didn't have a lot of friends because I was always shifting different schools. I was kind of the outcast. And I found a community online with people, right? Bulletin board systems, MUDs, multi-user dimensions, text-based games. And I really fell in love with being somewhat anonymous. And my credibility, my reputation was tied to my handle.
Right.
And to me, I just became fascinated with computers. And story didn't tell it there. One of the first forays into, I think, cybersecurity was my parents got me a Teddy Ruxpin, which, we could barely afford at that time to go and get it. But I got a Teddy Ruxpin for, I was like 8 years old or something. And the first day that I got it, I'm like, this is cool. How does this work? How do the motors work? How does it, sync it to the sound? How is it reading from this and this cassette player into here? And the second day I had it, I tore the whole thing apart. My parents were super pissed. I tore the whole thing apart. There was nothing but hardware and things like that everywhere, and I was figuring out how things worked. And I think that really just trying to understand how things work and how you can manipulate it, how you can change it. To me, like, the possibilities are so endless. Like, literally, this industry is all based on our minds and our creativity. Like, to be able to create something from nothing, from electricity to what goes into assembly that goes into a user display, it's just, to me, it was always fascinating how that all worked, and trying to figure out how to tear that apart and do something different was always something that I just homed in on and obsessed as a kid. And, a lot of people play video games and things like that. I did too, but I was more so understanding, like, how do the video games work? What's the coding behind that? Like, how does this change impact, the code base overall? And that's really where I started kind of getting into computers and what I love doing.
Did the Ruxpin ever make it back together?
No. The Ruxpin was dead. I never could put it back together. So my parents were I think I was grounded for like 2 weeks from it. And it's funny because I have 3 kids myself, and they're always on the computer, and it always drives me nuts. But I have to remember, I'm like, I was always on the computer.
Right.
Like, I was always obsessed with computers. I was always obsessed with how things work, communications, networking protocols, things like that. And you have to remember, like, our new generation, they're so immersed with that at an early age. They're so brilliant. Like, my kids, they're are so smart at computers, way more than I was at those ages, right? And these new kids that are coming into cybersecurity have new ideas, new ways of doing things, looking at things differently, saying, hey, I can do this way, and it's completely different. You look at what's going on with, generative AI and, machine learning and, a whole new field that's really being, brought on that we don't even know the implications of that fully yet. It's just such an interesting time to be alive in computers and technology and cybersecurity. And I think that's what I really love about SAINTCON is like everybody here has a mission of making the world a safer place in technology, and everybody's learning off of each other. People are communicating and talking and socializing, and even like your competitions where you have badges, you have to work as groups to kind of complete certain tasks and things like that. That's what it's all about, man. It's community. It's about learning off of one another. It's getting better with one another and figuring this thing out that we call life,
Yeah. What was your first hacker handle?
Okay, so my first hacker handle was actually Relic.
Really?
And
what did you pick it? Was it assigned?
So my actual first handle was Matus, which was off of Diablo. But when I was in the military, I deployed multiple times to different locations in the Middle East. And the colonel at the time, we were doing a newspaper interview for the local news. And the colonel specifically referenced me, and he's like, Dave's like our relic of our battalion because of how many times he's deployed. And I was only like 21, 22 at the time. And so that name stuck with me, Relic. And of course, I had to lead speak it. So it was like REL1K. And that's where I really came out with, in the cybersecurity industry, I was known as Relic, when I was in the backtrack development team, I was in the exploit DB development team, starting to write books and things like that. I was always Relic. And then eventually I changed my name to Hacking Dave because trying to tell people like on X or Twitter or whatever to spell out REL1K as my handle was really difficult. So I'm like, I'm just going to change it to Hacking Dave. And so that kind of stuck after that. And my Relic name kind of faded away over time. But Relic was my original handle.
I thought I found a news article that had you listed as Superman. Was that ever a handle?
Yeah, well, so...
You just glossed over that one?
Yeah. I was going to mention that one. But no, that was a title that one of my mentors that really taught me the soft skills in cybersecurity. So when I got out of the military, I was really good technically, but I didn't know how to present. I didn't know how to communicate complex things to normal business folks and things like that. And an individual named Scott Angelo was one of the first hires I got out of a company called Secure State. And Scott really mentored me into doing it. And he referenced me as the Superman of the company, like willing to do anything, everything, no matter what, and always going above and beyond. And he's like our own superhero, Superman. So it kind of stuck with me as well too. So, yep. It's funny you mentioned that. I haven't heard that in a long time.
What was that leap from you're an employee at a company, providing value, obviously they're liking what you do, you're growing in there, and you're like, I'm going to start my own company?
Yeah, that story, I look back at Dave then. So that would have been 2012 when I first started Trusted Sec, and I would have been 28 years old, okay? And I was a chief security officer for a Fortune 1000 company at 26, one of the youngest VPs in Diebold history. I had a great team, had 55 people globally, running an amazing team. We had a great relationship with IT. Life was perfect. Like I had no worry about my job. My team was amazing, but I knew I wanted to do something more. And I wanted to help other companies and help other people. And I knew that if I didn't do it now, I would never do it the rest of my life. And I look back at that Dave is like, dude, you're crazy. Like, what are you thinking? Your wife had just had twins. And you have 6 months of rent in the bank and you're going to go bootstrap a company by yourself, not knowing how to even start a company or what that even means. But, I think the biggest thing for anybody to recognize, and that was a big thing in my talk, is like, trust yourself and just go and do it. And that's what I did. And, my wife, I give her so much credit, for putting up with me all the time, first and foremost. I'm a big kid. But second, she was so instrumental in the things that I'm not good at. We balance each other so well. She's very fiscally responsible. I'm not. I would just give away all my services for free. She understands the accounting aspects of things, the billing stuff, the taxes. I don't do any of that. Like I have no idea what's in my bank account. I just go to Erin and she takes care of everything for me. And that was really such a pivotal role for me starting the companies was, I'd go out and do the sales and the assessment work and things like that and start to grow the company while she was in the back really focusing on keeping the company afloat and making sure we can pay our bills and pay employees and things like that. She's our CFO for Trusted Sec, and she's a pivotal role in our leadership team. She's an incredible force behind it. But for me, I wanted to make the world a safer place. And that's always been my goal, my mission, and I think a lot of that is instilled in me in the Marines. I saw some of the worst possibilities of humanity that you can possibly imagine in war. And, my mission was really focused on knowing that this life is short and trying to make as much of a positive impact on people in this world that I possibly could. And there's a story that I shared. I don't share it very often, but I shared it one time, and it was I was going from a place called Junction City, which is in Al Ramadi. It's in what's called the Sunni Triangle of Death. It's like a paradise area, like totally like tropical. I'm not just kidding. And I was going from Junction City to Fallujah. And I was on a convoy, an army convoy, and our convoy got hit, ambushed. It was one of the worst days in Iraq, still to this day. Like, we lost the most amount of troops that day than any other day in comparison to the war. And I remember I was in the back of this Humvee, and the army guys like, keep your head down. And I hear, explosions going on everywhere, firefights and everything. And I remember I'm like, hey, this is probably it for me. Like, I'm not going to make it through this. And I remember looking up at the sky and saying, hey, God, if you're there, I'm still here. I promise if I make it through this, I'm going to treat every day as if it's a gift. And I will try to help others and continue to do it. And I felt like almost a presence at that point in time saying, you're going to be okay. And made it through. And ever since then, I try to live my life with those values of every single day is a gift. And to give that gift to other people, to help other people out, no matter what I'm doing.
Awesome. And so you started a company, it's being successful, and you're like, that's enough. One company, I don't think I need to do anymore. I definitely don't need to acquire enough to put hotels on properties for it. But how many companies you rocking right now? I
think at this point I'm up to like 7 or so. I started Trusted Sec, and then I decided to start another company called Binary Defense. And it's crazy. Trusted Sec just got named the #1 leader in the world in cybersecurity consulting for Forrester, which is like crazy. You're like, literally this in basement of my house. Now we're competing with all these big companies in the world, right? But it's a good value mission of like, if you do the right things and you always have the mindset of helping people, good things come back to you as well. And the same thing for Binary Defense. I think we're ranked like #4 in the world for managed detection and response. And so we've seen some amazing growth, and I take that growth and I invested in our people, our folks, in developing school systems and things like that for cybersecurity. And then I decided, my kids were into basketball, and I was like, well, hey, there's no really good basketball training facilities around here, so I'm going to build one. And so I used technology and helped augment technology and data to help improve kids with basketball. So we have these shooting guns that shoot in different locations and track your statistical scores and probability of where you need to focus your shots at and everything else. And it helps kids get better with that. So now we have a facility that now is franchised out. We have 11 locations across the country that are franchises for basketball training facilities. Then I invested in a buddy of mine that does testosterone replacement therapy and hormone replacement therapy and longevity. So we have doctors on staff that help, look at your blood work and how you can live longer, because I got on a big health kick. Started a supplements company. It's just, I try to, like, my hobbies become my businesses. Like, and that's the best, to me, that's the best advice I can give to people. It's like, if you're looking at becoming an entrepreneur, you really need to love what you do. And if you love what you do, you will be successful at that. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not a job for me. It's not a business. It's like, hey, I want to live longer for myself and for my kids. Can I help other people live longer for themselves and their families and their friends and everything else too? And, it's not a money ploy in any way, shape, or form. I live very well. I'm very happy with where I'm at. But it's like, can I build other businesses that help people out in different ways that maybe aren't available, or they didn't know the knowledge is there? That's where we started Hacking Your Health and teaching people how to be more healthy in cybersecurity. It's a very stressful environment. We're sedentary. You're always sitting at the computer. How do we maintain a healthy lifestyle while also being in cybersecurity as well? Again, how do you make that difference? And so starting businesses has just been a fun thing. Hopefully I'm done for a little bit. You never know, but
going for 14.
Yeah, right. I'll talk to you next year at SAINTCON, and I'll be like, hey, I'm up to 14. Right. But yeah, no. 7
more franchises. Yeah. Kid got into soccer. Now we got soccer fields.
They're almost out of the house, thank God.
What's next for Dave?
I'm enjoying where things are at right now. Our companies are growing leaps and bounds. Trusted Sec is doing amazing. Binary Defense is doing amazing. The health companies are doing amazing. Just continuing to invest in them. But what's most important is, early on in my career, I was traveling, and my wife and I, quick story about my wife and I, we met and we dated for 24 days, and I deployed to Iraq for a year.
Oh, man.
And, came back and got married, and so we were forged in travel. And so when I started Trusted Sec, I was traveling all the time, right? And we had just had, the twins. So we have 3 kids total. The oldest is 16 now, and then I have 14-year-olds, boy, girl. And, early on in their lives, I was always traveling a lot. And I decided, COVID was a really good, obviously horrible situation, but a good realization that I didn't need to be gone all the time. And I did a lot of refocusing and repurposing on family and being there. I coach my kids' basketball teams, heavily involved in their lives, teaching them. I'm big into airsoft now with my family, so I'm sure I'll invest in an airsoft.
Yeah, you're
facility.
gonna have a competition airsoft course.
I'll do a SAINTCON airsoft competition.
Actually, that sounds pretty cool.
I'd be in for that. Seriously, if you want me to run that, I'll run that village.
Listen,
and we can hack them so they're AGs or automatic ones. You can mod them and everything. So
don't tease us with a good time. Iceman, we had a little conversation. He's running a community now, so listen.
Yeah.
Don't tease us with a good time.
No, hey, I got plenty of airsoft guns so we can play around with and have fun with and do the gauntlet where we shoot each other with them and stuff.
You'll be at TSA and like, what's in this bag? Another gun.
Another gun. There's 700 guns here. What's that? So strange. But no, I think when you look at again the kind of where Aaron and I came from, my focus now it's on my family. It's being there for my kids, being there for my company. My company's my family too. I love the people I work with. I work with my best friends. I work with my family. Obviously, my wife works there. My daughter, she comes in twice a week and helps with expenses. So she's got a little spot that says the Kennedy kids, and they sit down and Mason comes and sits down. So, it's spending time with the kids. It's such a critical part of their lives, being there for my family and, just enjoying what I'm doing right now. And I'm sure there'll be more as it comes along, but right now it's just kind of building the businesses and having fun with it. And, I'm one of the only still to this day, look at John Strand with Black Hills, Red Siege with, those guys over there, Tim Medine, we're one of the only founder-led, companies out there that, hasn't taken, PE funding where they control the majority of the company. TrustedSec I own 100% of. I have a partner at Binary Defense. I do have a minority investment company in that, but I still own the majority control of the company itself. And for me, it's just, doing the right things, not losing focus of it, not selling out to to make a big buck.
Cash grab.
Cash grab. It's really just trying to help people and doing the right thing. And it's in our cultures, it's in our people. And it's what you guys are doing here at SAINTCON. You guys and girls are doing here at SAINTCON. It's amazing. If
somebody wanted to come talk to you, but they're, they think you're on a pedestal and they're nervous about it, what's something of interest of you that they can bring up and you just have a commonality of friendship? Listen,
I hope folks know, you can approach me and talk to me anytime, no matter what. Even if I'm in a crowd of people or, if I'm sitting by myself, come up and say hi. I can attest to that. I tried to get you around the floor and you got stopped every 10 seconds and we're chatting with people for a long time. So. Yeah, Chris Nickerson said one of the best statements ever. He's like, never have Dave give you a drink at a hacker conference because he'll come back 2 hours later with the ice melted because I have to stop and talk to folks all the time. But what is something, so that's a true statement. They can clearly come talk to you. Yeah. But they still might be nervous. And if there's something, what's something they can approach you? Clearly, DeLorean's health. There's a few things like Back to the Future. What's something else that you really like? And if somebody came up to you and said this, you can have a conversation about it. I think some of the most valuable conversations I love having with people is just hearing where they're at in their experiences and what they're trying to accomplish next. So if I can provide perspective of my experience to help them grow in their career. So hey, I'm having trouble breaking into. There's a gentleman upstairs that has a master's degree in cybersecurity, but all the jobs that he's applying for require experience. I love that conversation, and then, by the way, that's a major problem we have in the security industry is that we have all these open job requisitions, but they all require already established experience. So how do we get kids that are coming out of these college programs or have applied knowledge in cybersecurity, but don't necessarily have the experience, getting them into jobs, right? And I love that conversation as one. So where can I go with my career? I'm looking at this, or do you have any perspective of whatever it ends up being in job-wise, or even just, we talk any day about exploitation and red teaming and anything else that's out there. I mean, I'll chat any day with that. We had a great conversation with a couple folks downstairs on, the impact of generative AI and machine learning. I'm releasing a new version of the social engineer toolkit that's set.ai, which is using large language models to help you do your phishing campaigns and offensive security tactics around social engineering. And even just having that conversation with the gentleman there that has a lot of experience in it, had 3 new ideas that he came up with for my tool. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's a great idea. Hooking into LinkedIn and automatically building your pretext off of generative AI based on the positions that you're going after. That's a great idea. And so, stuff like that gets me excited, or experiences that a person has had that has given them, some success or a roadblock that they had. We were talking earlier, I was talking to someone that teaches college classes. And, the thing that I don't think we teach enough of is the offensive security mindset of try harder. Now, we got a lot of crap in the industry, the try harder stuff, because, it was looked at as kind of like gatekeeping. Right. I didn't really look at it that way. That was never the intent. I remember when the try harder concept first came out, people would go into the remote exploit group on IRC, and they'd be like, hey, how do I get my, wireless driver to patch so that I can do promiscuous mode, so I can do, using leveraging air crack and air dump and stuff like that. And people are like, there's literally 5,000 forums that tell you how to do this. Like, go do your research first. And if you run into a problem and you can't overcome it, that's when you ask, right? And I think cybersecurity is one of those things where you can't teach every possible scenario that's going to be out there. We have to be creative. We have to overcome things that have never been done before. And so if you teach people just to look at a book or to, run the specific script or tool, you're missing the whole point of what makes us such a creative industry. And I think, people that want to, so I was talking to this individual I was teaching the college students, and he's like, that's what I tried to instill in the college kids. Like, they get frustrated, they get upset, they get angry because they can't figure it out. And I'm like, that's the spot where you learn the most and you really understand that topic. And that's really where our strength is in this industry, is those folks that have overcome those challenges to figure out something new that hasn't been done before, a different way of doing something that someone didn't think about before, or expanded on something that was already done and made it 10 times better, And I think for me, like, those types of conversations and stories like that are things that like really energize me. But seriously, come up to me anytime, talk to me. I love hearing people's perspectives and experiences. I wish I had more time just to sit down and talk to people and hang out more. It always feels like I'm bouncing around a lot. And I love just hearing people's perspectives and learning from them too. I mean, I learn so much from people here. I learn so much from people's talks. I learn so much from people's experiences. Every single day, I just become a better person because of it.
Can we really send you love letters through the contact us form on your website?
Absolutely.
You'll actually
True
get
story. I get them. The contact us comes directly to me, and my marketing team handles a lot of it. But if I see them, anytime there's a contact us on our site, I look at them. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I told the story about Luke, and so Luke's wife, fiance at the time, had reached out to the contact us form and said, hey, Luke's a huge fan of Trusted Sec and Dave, and he's a web developer and wants to get into cybersecurity. That's all he wants to do. It's his passion, it's his career. Would you mind if I surprise him, and could I have anybody at Trusted Sec just hop on the call? She wasn't expecting me to hop on.
This sounds like a wonderful wife.
Yeah, amazing, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to surprise him. And I was like, hell yeah, that's an amazing thing. I'd love to talk to him and tell him how he can get into cybersecurity. Sure. And I got on the call in the Zoom, and he was super surprised to see me. And I was like, just tell me a little about yourself. And I was like, wow, this kid's actually really sharp. Like, he's really, really good at what he does. And he's doing all the hack in the boxes. He knows all the tools already. And he's a developer, which is great foundational piece for that.
Coding's already set.
So you're going to be an amazing application security person. And I'm like, man, I'd like to put you in contact with our head of, Scott White, our head of application security. And Scott's like, wow, he's really talented. We should hire him. And we didn't have a position open. There was no jobs posted. We hired him. Came in as a junior security consultant, right? Because no experience on cybersecurity, even though he's a developer. And 2 years later, he became a senior. So he's a senior security consultant now. In 2 years, by the way,
because he's doing the work.
He's doing the work, and he's amazing. He's passionate about it. It's his hobby. And I love those stories, right? And I definitely, if you can't hit the contact us form, I'll see the love letters. So,
okay. Well, we appreciate you coming out here to Utah, keynoting at SAINTCON, and thank you for chatting with me in the hallway.
Hey, I want to say thank you to everybody that makes SAINTCON possible. If you're interested in SAINTCON, it is an epic conference. I highly recommend it. One of my favorites out there now. And I'll be a regular attendee coming in here in the future. So I appreciate you having me. It's truly humbling and honoring, and amazing folks here. Thank you again for all you do.
Thanks, Dave.